Welcome to the Channel Champions podcast, powered by Evolve IP, hosted by Zach Anderson. Today, we'll explore the always evolving landscape of the IT, telephony, and communications channel. If you are a trusted advisor, strategist, IT consultant, or sales engineer, this one's for you. Today's guest is...
Okay, welcome to the Channel Champions podcast. This is episode 12. I have a very exciting guest with me today. He has over 24 years in the channel and is the CEO and founder of TDM. He is a bourbon connoisseur, contributing author to a recently published book, and has been recognized in the Channel Futures Top 20 Distribution Channel Leaders in 2022. He is a true champion of the channel, and I'm proud to welcome Mr. Robert Bowling. Sir, thank you so much for coming on.
Good to be here. I hope I have a little bit of experience and knowledge and wisdom I can share with the audience.
Well, you certainly do. Today's topic is a little bit different because Robert and his company, TDM, Claris, and Wheelhouse are all under one roof, which is really cool because Robert's able to kind of see the channel through the seller's lens. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we get into that, I want to get into a little bit of a backstory. Robert, can you tell me, what year was it that, because I'm bad at math, I don't know what 2023 minus 24 is. 99? Does that sound right?
It was 99 when we started our channel adventure. We started TDM in the spring of 99. It was kind of an interesting story. I had been a large customer of a guy that Ron Shields, that was my partner when we started the business. Mm-hmm. And we became a good customer of his. In an interesting story, I did a deal with Sprint through him that made him the largest agent in the country that year.
Wow.
It was a large deal.
Wow.
And after I sold that company, he kept saying, let's go out and start a new company and sell in the channel. And I said, I don't want to sell florist and funeral homes. I only want to sell mega customers. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, then let's go sell mega customers. And we actually looked at the agent agreements and saw that there was really nothing that kept us from selling the very top end of the market. Mm-hmm. We're selling the very top end of the market.
That's great.
It was a time.
Okay. And what was the channel landscape like back in those days?
The channel, as a general rule, the way I kind of jokingly refer to it, sold a lot of florist and funeral homes. But the from a product set standpoint, it was primarily selling long distance and frame relay. Mm-hmm. It was the very early fringes of MPLS. And the good part is the UNEP local competition was right on the horizon. Mm-hmm. And that was really a difference maker for us. And I think for the channel in general, is much better data networking products and the ability to sell local service.
So did you have, what was your sort of go-to-market? Like, what did you foresee your differentiator being back then?
Something the channel's always sold on, and we did in the early days, was price. Mm-hmm. Especially as the UNEP market opened up, really for the first time ever, the customers were able to, find 10, 15, 30% savings on their local POTS lines. And everybody had lots and lots of local POTS lines at that time. And to, for all intents and purposes, not have to change the carrier, but change the billing carrier and get a 30% discount or 25% discount was, it's kind of a no-brainer decision. Um, obviously some customers thought it was too good to be true and wouldn't talk to you. Others, made the leap and at least for a few short years, it was kind of the wild, wild west of pretty, easy selling in the channel as it related to local service.
Do you think it's a lot, do you think customers or end user organizations now have better adopted the idea of the agent in general? I mean, what was it like approaching customers back then or end user organizations as an agent versus what it's like now?
It'd be easy to try to convince myself that I went in as a trusted advisor, but in reality, you went in as a complete unknown. I mean, and you would have to spend half your meeting time that was allocated trying to explain to people the indirect channel and the fact that you didn't just represent one supplier and that it was okay to buy from me, no different than buying from your direct sales team. The underlying product set was the same. That seems like a pretty simple message, but it was very difficult for people really to believe because they hadn't experienced it. Fast forward 24 years and practically every decision maker out there now has experienced the channel. And I think especially the purchasing groups of larger organizations like the convenience of being able to deal with multiple solutions from a single person. They're not having to develop relationships with, 50 different salespeople. One person can bring them 50 different suppliers. And so the role of being truly a trusted advisor has really evolved to the point that it is right now. And so many companies really depend on the channel, the sellers in the channel to deliver the kind of solutions that are necessary for a business to succeed now.
Mm-hmm. And because, trusted advisors are so much more prevalent today, do you ever run into situations where maybe that IT leader or just the end user organization in general has had a bad experience with a trusted advisor and you have to kind of overcome that? I mean, because I've heard that from other partners. And
well, I think it means that wasn't a trusted advisor.
Fair enough.
Obviously, in any kind of climate, you have the people that are good at what they do and the people that are not as good as what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And in our space, we are primarily sellers, and a lot of the service that's behind what we sell is somewhat out of our control. And so even though I may be a perfectly trusted advisor and did a perfect job selling, if the entity that I brought to the table was just entering a season, well, what I say all suppliers go through seasons of good and seasons of bad.
Sure.
And if the day you sign a contract with a customer is day one of a seasons of bad
mm-hmm.
of a supplier, then that 3-year contract term is going to be miserable for your customer and pretty much out of your control. And so that's where you have to be truly a trusted advisor and hold the customer's hand and live with them through the misery of a season of bad and provide them any kind of relief you can, and especially provide them a pathway to improve and change that at the end of the contract term.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I know there's probably a lot of, trusted advisors out there now that will really appreciate that advice, that it's, It doesn't mean that it's over. It just means that you have a better opportunity to, right the ship, so to speak.
Well,
So,
I think the position of strength that you come in as a trusted advisor is when you come alongside and help them survive the misery of a mediocre or bad decision.
mhm,
It typically is not going to sink their business, but they know that there is a greener pasture,
mhm,
and they want to work toward that greener pasture. I mean, and so you can, if you are completely hitched to a single solution and it's a miserable solution, then they're not going to use you for the next, improvement in their situation. If in fact you're truly that trusted advisor, you have multiple solutions, there's a lot of things and ways that you can help them, then, I mean, uh, every step along the way that every day you're getting closer to a contract replacement or renewal, you have a way to come alongside and help them. And in the course of my time, I have seen suppliers go through a miserable year followed by an outrageous improvement the last couple of years of a contract.
mhm,
And the decision maker at times tries to brand them, even though the experience is outrageously good at the moment, they try to brand them by the first year of the contract.
hmm,
And as the trusted advisor, that's part of what you have to bring to the table, saying, wait a minute, I brought you a solution that you struggled with year one. We got through year one. Year two was outrageously better. And year three, this is an easy part of your business right now. Why are you going to change that? And those are the kind of things that as a trusted advisor, I mean, you get to do is remind them of where things are today and the pain of change. And at times you want to encourage change, and other times you don't want to encourage change. And those seasons of good and seasons of bad are part of that.
mhm. Do you think the role of the trusted advisor has evolved over the time that you've been in the channel? Like, can you, I mean, obviously it has evolved, but like, I guess just with regards to the relationship with the customer, has it evolved and how?
Well, I think it's evolved a lot because I think in the early days, as a trusted advisor, you were primarily a trusted budgetary consultant and making sure that they were making the best decisions financially. I mean, it's remarkable how heavy the cost component was in all decision making in my early days. I think that has been cost is and will forever be a major component in all decision making, as it should be. But the best technology and how my business works and the resources that I have available to implement a solution and what the pain threshold in my C-suite is for change. And there's just so many more components that are part of being a trusted advisor today. I mean, they truly want technology help. They want human resource help. They want confidence that they are making good decisions. Um, they want you to understand their budget priorities and, is it a capital spend or an operating spend? And, I mean, we like selling a lot of as a service kind of components, but depending on the company, they may be a heavy capital intensive. There's a lot of capital money available to them to spend. And so as a service makes absolutely no sense to those kind of customers. And you have to listen and come back with the solutions that fit the company with exactly where they are at that moment.
Mhm. Have you noticed in the last couple years, because just I'm asking because there's been a lot of talk about it, but have you noticed that organizations are more cautionary or more discretionary with their IT budgets at all? Or, I mean, do you think that's trending up or down?
Um, I think that the trend is that technology has to be good for the company. Um, we are a technology centric society right now, and practically with an endless thirst for more technology, but it's also an endless way we could spend money on technology. And what I'm seeing now as I go out and talk to enterprise decision makers, whether it's the CFO or the CIO or the CISO or a whole committee of people at a large company, the discussion is about how the technology will impact the company budgetarily, not just, okay, I've got $3 million to spend in my budget, but is when I spend X number of dollars, what is the trickle impact to the other parts of my business? How am I affecting the manufacturing operation? When I change this part of technology, is my manufacturing process becoming more efficient so that the margins for what I'm selling just picked up by 6% because I improved technology back here on this backside? I mean, are my accounting staff, can I get by with fewer accounting staff because you taking some of the busy work out of expense management, and not just simply a savings on product sold as much as an overall impact of a technology spend.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So I'm curious, in the past 24 years, there's been a lot of new technologies that have come about. Most recently, let's say there was SD-WAN, and then there's, UCAS, and there's, now there's security, right? And so I feel like a lot of trusted advisors sort of jump on these bandwagons when they're popular. Have you been able to stay agnostic with the solutions that you're sort of offering? Or have you sort of fallen into that? I don't want to say trap, but like, have you fallen onto what's popular at the time in our circles, so to speak?
Well, there are any seller sells what is selling at the moment.
Yeah.
All you have is time, and we make our money selling. And so if the easiest sell is selling the product of the day, then that's what you're going to spend your time on. As a true trusted advisor, especially at the enterprise level, you cannot hitch your wagon to the product of the day.
Mhm.
You have to go in and listen to the customer, find out their business priorities, find out their technology roadmap, or help them develop a technology roadmap, and then deliver the things that they need to be successful along that technology roadmap. It is not products of the day, although, like any other, being a big company or a little company, if the owner or the board members are saying, well, I read about this in the Wall Street Journal today, how are you solving that? You've got to know about the products of the day so that you can deliver the answers that they need for the people that they report and have to answer to. But more often than not, a decision maker really is having looked at a comprehensive technology decision and not just what is hot for the moment.
Mhm.
And security is a great example of that. Companies have had security things in place forever.
Right.
You know, uh, did you have multi-factor authentication? Maybe not, but you did have a password to get in.
Right.
And was somebody patching your laptop at least every few months? Yes. As opposed to now they're looking at daily patches if need be.
Right.
But those things were in place forever. And so while they are talked about in a Um, they're the front and center conversation points of selling today. Those are actually components that CIO has been dealing with in his job day in, day out for years and years and years. And so some of the things that we look at as products that are front and center have been part of a decision maker that we deal with live every day for many, many, many years.
Yeah, it's always obviously we're in the technology space, so everything is evolving and advancing so quickly. So I'm always curious to know, like, what's going to be next. So do you have any ideas or insight on any trends that you think might, what's the next big thing, Robert?
Well, obviously AI is front and center. And on a parallel course are the human resource challenges that anybody in the technology space has to recruit, bring up, educate, indoctrinate, and develop employees, and then be able to keep those employees, and more importantly, to be able to afford those employees is an outrageous challenge right now. And it's very heavy in the technology space, but there's so many things in just the routine processes of every business that from a technology standpoint, our artificial intelligence, our machine learning has developed to a point that many of the tasks that we know are somewhat mundane tasks, even though they require what yesteryear you needed some hands and eyes on something. In today's world, those hands and eyes can be through artificial intelligence as opposed to a real human. And so I think it's inevitable that AI and replacement of existing human resources that are required. The labor pool, especially in the United States, is demanding that you find a cheaper way to do business, and technology has advanced to meet that in the form of AI. I mean, can I still go offshore and get a certain number of these tasks done in a similar investment? The answer is yes, but those human resource costs, even offshore costs, are going to be flat or increase. AI is only going to decrease.
Do you ever run into organizations that are just totally worried about AI and its impacts on their employees or their workforce?
Sure. I mean, if you go to any kind of, frankly, if you get into practically any one-on-one discussion with anybody, there is a component that of fear related to AI. In that, is it going to take my job, and more importantly, is it going to be bad guys using AI to put me out of business? And the all the strength that we're seeing with artificial intelligence and the things that are good that can happen and we're seeing people do, there are probably exponentially bad things happening with those same engines that are driving the things I get excited about. I wake up at night with do I have the tools in place to stop the bad guys using those same tools that I'm wanting to use for good? And it's there's always been a battle of good and evil, and it's happening with AI no different than everything else in life.
It's well said. Okay, so let's talk about TDM. When did you know that you wanted to be a TSD, or what was the gap that you saw in the channel, call it marketplace or the trusted advisor marketplace, so to speak, that you felt that there was, space for another TSD?
I'm not sure that that's exactly how it evolved for me. TDM was one of the early customers of Keentel, Pete Keen's business. He had an interesting model as a TSD. It was originally called Keentel, later called Outreach Telecom. And what they did is offered you a chance to pay a flat rate monthly subscription. In exchange for that, you got 100% of the commission. And we were his largest agent. We adopted that process early, saw that it made sense to us as sellers to keep more of the money. And we adopted that and loved the model. There was an opportunity as Pete got into more software development, especially on the Salesforce side, for us to actually buy that company from him, and so kind of defensively as much as anything, because I was the largest agent in his portfolio. Defensively, I bought that company in 2013 and became a small TSD at that point. We grew that business and it continues to grow. When we merged Claris and TDM and Wheelhouse together 2.5 years ago, Claris was already another small TSD. And so it just practically, it was one of the ways that it made sense to put the companies together. And Claris is now our TSD resource.
That's great. So, how much has it grown in the time that you sort of merged all those companies?
Considerably, a few fold. And so the whole channel has grown a whole lot, and so
right.
So I think that's the key is that TSD business that we have has really kind of grown with the channel. We've done our own, consolidation of a few companies, the same way the whole channel has. There's a shrinking of the number of players in the marketplace, and though we're still a small TSD, we're much bigger than we were in 2013.
Sure. And talk to me about that sort of three-legged stool that we spoke of earlier, and how has that contributed to your success?
Sure. TDM came from selling enterprise customers. That's why I told you that we got in the business, not selling florists and funeral homes, but selling enterprise customers. And we were successful doing that, very successful. And so there was value in being a successful enterprise sales organization. And so when we got in the TSD market, a lot of what became interesting is a lot of our sellers embraced the fact that we were sellers as well. And they wanted advice on how they can move up market, what's working for us as sellers, and that kind of stuff. And so I wasn't just pushing my TSD product set to them as much as mentoring, coaching, and making them better at the core business that they were in. And so as we have put together TDM and Claris and Wheelhouse, it's allowed me to have an enterprise sales organization, which represents a lot of the sellers in the space. It's allowed me to have an MSP, which represents another whole group of sellers in the space, and Claris, which is our TSD, can be the distributor for both sides of that, both as an MSP and as an enterprise seller.
So you're really getting the best of all worlds.
It's the best of all worlds, but I can come alongside much more as a mentor and coach of the selling population that we have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and being that you have the MSP, does that? I mean, how much of that helps the end user organizations that you're working with?
Especially because TDM is an enterprise sales organization. We like to sell up market, the very large customers with very large deals, and we've done that with Evolve IP, your company, very successfully. And so what we have found with the MSP when we put them together is that those enterprise customers have need for, especially on a project level or a co-management level of the services of an MSP. We are not that typical MSP that serves. There are thousands and thousands of smaller MSPs that serve America's business landscape. It's a very important part of the business landscape is the support that MSPs provide. We're more of an upmarket MSP that can deal with larger that can do the project work that's necessary as a conglomerate, buys a division or sells a division, and you have to do the things that it takes to unweave or reweave those assets, those IT assets back into the company. We come alongside and help that. Almost all IT staffs want to do a certain amount of things themselves. Mm-hmm. Don't always have enough resources to do all of it themselves. Mm-hmm. And especially they don't have the resources. Their staff like to go on vacation, just like the rest of us do. And so being able to come alongside and offer true co-management kind of solutions where if you are going to be unavailable for a period of time, because we co-manage with you, I can carry the majority of the water for a period of time. When you're off that project or back from vacation, you can pick up and carry as much as you want to, and I can carry the remainder. Mm-hmm. And so that's a lot of what we do with our MSP is more propping up our enterprise sales business than the traditional help desk,
right?
Kind of support that most MSPs do for small business.
Mm-hmm. And it really allows you to truly be an extension of their IT staff, and I'm sure that sort of, further builds and grows your value with that company.
Exactly. I mean, I really have become embedded in their IT staff.
Right.
And because of that, the trusted advisor badge that you get to wear is that much shinier because I mean, they have entrusted me to be part of what they're doing. I help them solve the good, bad, and ugly on a day-to-day basis. And so they have to pivot and change or spend money to improve or develop this project. I'm typically the first person they look to.
That's great. So tell me about the 100% Club, because I think that is a big differentiator for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it. It had the roots in the Pete Keen's old Keentel and Outreach Telecom. We continued that program for 10 years. We really kind of re-energized the program this past spring because with the change of landscape in the TSD market, and a lot of sellers were saying that a lot of the big TSDs all look the same, and there was a level of frustration expressed to us, and we said, well, we've got something that's a lot different. And at the end of the day, a good seller wants to keep as much money as they can possibly do. And so we reinvigorated that 100% Club product set that we have, which basically allows a good seller to sell to a certain point with a subscription fee, so that the amount of money that me as the TSD can make off you as the seller is capped at it, and they can ride that. Then the more they sell, the more money goes in their pocket, and my number is capped forever. And
Great.
and for especially for what we call super sellers or that very successful big deal seller, that is a lucrative change in the model. And
Mhm.
when you couple that with the resources that we can bring to help with those big sales, because we are a big sale entity ourselves, it allows them to have the peace of mind that they're not losing anything by going with a smaller TSD. In fact, they're coming alongside a smaller TSD, but a selling partner who is experienced at selling the customers they want to be selling.
Mhm. What's the fastest anybody's ever gotten to the 100% club?
One order.
Wow.
I mean, and frankly, some people look at it and they have been selling with TSDX, and all of a sudden they have a 50,000 a month order, and they look and say, "What do I keep this over here where I'm giving up, X percent, or is now the time to do something different?" And they start asking us questions, and we show them the model of why that makes sense. And sometimes they get their existing TSD to match that deal. Other times they jump ship.
Interesting. Well, I mean, it's all about options, right? And I think
Correct.
I think you've put together a pretty good option.
That's
So,
what we hope is that we've provided a way that because ultimately that's what we want sellers to do. We don't think that sellers are going to abandon their longtime relationships of TSDs that they have, but most sellers don't want exclusivity of a single
right.
TSD. They
Right.
like to spread their business around, and we become an alternative for some of that business as it's spread around, especially on larger deals.
Mm-hmm. And we were talking about how you guys are developing or have developed some new product sets, and I wanted to kind of get into the inventory database as a service. Did you coin that by chance?
We did.
That's cool.
Everything as a service in today's marketplace, but
It's true.
uh, at the foundation of how we do business, and we made this decision many years ago. We're a Salesforce shop. From A to Z, from the time we start selling till all the commission records and customer support, and everything that we do is in Salesforce. That is an expensive commitment that we made, but it is very scalable and very powerful. And so, as the channel has evolved, one of the product sets that is a common product set today is expense management. Nearly every TSD offers some or many versions of expense management that is part of what is there. A certain group of customers want that. A certain group of customers say, "I don't need that. I've got people to pay my bills and everything's under control." The piece that's been consistent that we've seen is that nearly every customer does a poor job of maintaining their inventory. Um, in some cases, they don't even know where all their addresses and location lists are, and they sure don't know all the inventory that's at any given location. They don't know it was ordered. Services orders, POTS lines were ordered 15 years ago. They don't know the name of the person, the PIN number on the account to make a change. I mean, there's just a world of headaches. What are the static IPs that I have at that location when I need to make a change? And I mean, there's just there's a huge amount of information that any customer needs to be able to run their business. It's part of the busy work of running a good shop, but it's a necessary part of the busy work. As a seller, when you go into a customer and you get an opportunity, they give you a stack of invoices and you have to pour through them and glean as much of that information as you can. You ask the customer to fill in the blanks, and they usually can fill in about half the blanks and they struggle with the other half. And I mean, it's just the information that it takes to truly do a good job in the channel and a good job for the customer is the challenge. And so we developed the information database as a service using our Salesforce resource as a way. It's an alternative to expense management, but it's really broader than expense management because it gives all of this information that you need to run the business at the fingertips of the customer and or the seller.
So you're almost like reinventing what TEM means.
Well, we kind of laugh and call it team instead of TEM. Not just technology expense management. It's technology expense and asset management.
I see.
And so it is the bigger focus on the asset part of the management there.
Love it. And you were saying that you have fully embraced the AI world, and you have another implementation or another product set coming out called Charlie the Chatbot. Is that right?
Charlie the Chatbot. and as I mentioned, we're a Salesforce shop, and so what Salesforce is a huge, extensive database. So if you build all this information from commission information to customers' inventory, to channel manager contacts, to all the contract information that you have, there's just a massive amount of information that you have to participate in the channel. And we have chosen Salesforce as the repository of that information and spend a lot of time and effort to growing that, maintaining that, keeping it clean and up to date, managing spiff of the spiff of the month or spiff of the quarter, making sure commissions are have been received and what happens if they weren't received. And so there's just a massive amount of things that you can do. But with Charlie, there's a whole lot of relatively simple questions that are at the core of what we do every day in the channel. From qualifying a location, finding out this is the address of a prospect, who is the LEC there, are there alternatives, who has fiber there, who has coax there, what do I get paid on those, and all of that is available from our chatbot. You ask them the question and it pulls from our Salesforce database the answer. If
That's
you're
great.
qualified, if a customer can't ask about commissions and there's, some information that the customer has that's not shared with the seller and some of that CP&I restrictions and some of those kind of things. And so, based on making sure the correct person is asking the correct question determines, exactly how the answers go. But the information's in the database, and Charlie is a smart little guy and is able to dip into that database and answer those questions.
Great.
And it's exciting to be able to roll that kind of product out because we're just asked the same kind of questions over and over and over again. They're essential for what we do from a selling perspective. But we have leveraged the value of and the power of artificial intelligence to be able to accurately dip into our database to get those answers.
Mm-hmm. And obviously that's, only available to folks that work with you, right?
To our sellers and our customers.
Right. Okay. A little bit of exclusivity is always good.
If you're not my customer and you're not my seller, I have no information about you in my.
Fair enough. That's great. So, as a TSD, as a trusted advisor, as an MSP, what do you have any bold predictions for the next couple of years? Like, what's coming down the pipe for the channel?
And we I touched on this in the book, in Ashley Rowland's Channel Unlocked book that you mentioned in the introduction, and we haven't talked about yet. But one of the things I said in my contribution to that book is the channel has undergone this huge investment of outside money over the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
The investors are very interested in what we do and how we do, and I think a lot of it is what's happened is selling technology has in a lot of ways moved from kind of an exclusive direct sales club to very much a trusted advisor channel are equal, if not better, players in that space.
Mm-hmm.
And the investing community has recognized that and has poured a lot of money into the channel. The change that's happened is the channel was originally established, and most long timers in the channel would tell you a million stories to back this up. It was a lifestyle business.
Right.
We got to work as hard as we wanted to, make as much money as we wanted to, and live as well as we wanted to. As outside money has been poured into the channel, I think it has shifted more from a lifestyle channel to a return on investment channel.
Mm.
And that is just a fundamental paradigm shift in the channel. It's just a new set of pressures that is on the selling community.
Mm-hmm.
That is really focused on return on investment. And, is my agency making the kind of money that I need, that when I want to exit, I can get the multiple that I want to see?
Right.
And versus yesteryear, you weren't really ever thinking about exiting. You were just saying, can I get enough money to go to Cancun this year?
Right.
And now, because there's so much focus on the acquisitions, on the exit, on the value of the company, it's become an ROI model instead of simply a lifestyle model. And to me, that's the biggest change that is there. And so I think that new people coming into the channel may miss out on some of the lifestyle part of the channel and will only experience the ROI part of the channel.
Mm-hmm. So for the the trusted advisors that have been in the channel for a long time, that have grown their businesses, and do you think they're more motivated now with having built their businesses up, or do you think like you said, it's more on the newer generation of trusted advisors that they are more focused on that?
No, and everybody has their business and their business timelines.
Mm-hmm.
And so even the people who have been in the channel for a long time, one of the beautiful pieces about the new money that's come into the channel is it's provided a means for you to exit the channel.
Right.
For a long time, the trusted advisor, great sellers in the channel may not work as hard as they used to, but they saw no way to exit. They were really stuck, taking those customer phone calls, and the day they quit selling, their revenue stream was going to dry up. And one of the beautiful pieces that has been provided of the new money is the guy who yesteryear thought he was going to be stuck working the rest of his life to a certain, at least a few hours a week, the rest of his life, to maintain some level of that revenue stream that they had worked the previous 20 years on.
Mm-hmm.
Now they can take a one-time payment.
Right.
If they focus, especially over in that last couple years they want to work, they focus on getting a great, return and great margins in what they're doing as a business, selling the best accounts, getting all their customers under contracts, and creating the value that investors are looking for. And then there's a backdoor exit that they can put a lot of money in the bank and wave goodbye, and they get the lifestyle they want without having to work at that point.
There you go. I'm curious. Obviously, you have worked with us before, and I always like to know, what advice do you have for sort of supplier and trusted advisor, and I guess TSD relationships? Like, what advice would you have for us or for any supplier to build deeper relationships with, whether it be a TSD or a trusted advisor?
I think the big thing is that relationships matter. So you need to hire good people, and those people need to have a level of integrity, especially professional integrity. Don't promise me that Evolve IP can do X, Y, and Z when all they can do is really X and Y.
Right.
Because if I trust you as a person, and thus trust Evolve IP as a company, and I go out and sell my customer X, Y, and Z, and can only deliver X and Y, that lovely relationship that I had going into that sale will erode very fast, because I'll never want to sell you again, because you just cost me that. Not only did you cost me with that particular sale, you may have cost me 10 other sales to that same customer because of my experience with you.
Yep.
And so the integrity of a supplier, and especially of a supplier's people, matter.
Mm-hmm. And in the spirit of advice, what advice would you give to yourself back in, when you started, or any new trusted advisor entering the channel today?
Sure. I mean, and it's a piece of advice I give to people constantly, is that you have to decide what is important to you, especially financially. How much money do you want to make? How much effort do you want to put into making that money? And then, can you be honest about what it takes to get there? If you want to make, X number of dollars, but you only want to work 30 hours a week, then you better be productive those 30 hours.
Sure.
One of the problems with sellers is, especially super sellers, is the worst thing that can happen is they sign a deal. Because as soon as they sign a deal, they're no longer selling, they're administering that deal.
Yeah.
The problem is that most sellers don't have the confidence or courage to immediately hire somebody to do the administrative work at $30 an hour, so that they can go out and sell at $300 an hour. They will put their $300 hat on the shelf, wear a $30 hat for hours on end. And it is the mistake that too many sellers in the channel make, in that they think they can't afford to have somebody do the administrative part. But every minute they spend on administrative work themselves, especially a good seller, is a mistake.
Well said. Well, Robert, it's been fun. I really do appreciate you coming on, and with all your experience that you've got, it's definitely going to give the listeners a lot of good advice. And I again appreciate you coming on. So tell us what you've got going on, or how folks can find you. Any fun events coming up or anything like that?
We can be found as a TSD at clarisco.com. TDM can be found at tdm.cc. we are always looking for more sellers and the next good deal. So any customers are watching, please call us. uh, but the next big thing that is just more products to help differentiate us with our customers and with our sellers. We do have one big product that we are rolling out, this at the end of the third quarter, that we think will help us, but just, continue to dip into our website, look for our ads in the different trade publications, and pay attention to what we do, because we think we see the channel space pretty broadly and are offering things that make a difference to our sellers.
Absolutely. And definitely check out the Channel Unlocked book. I actually did meet with Ashley and Ryan Rowland. They were on my last episode. So grab that book. And the really cool part about the book is that you can spend whatever you want on the book. So all of the proceeds from the book go to some channel oriented.
You can pick the charity and you can pick the dollar amount. I mean, it's a great idea that Ashley came up with, and there's a lot of people contributed a lot of wisdom and knowledge to help make people and especially new people in the channel succeed by paying attention to the words that are in the book.
Absolutely. So everybody check that out. Robert Bowling, thank you so much, sir. Hopefully we can do this again soon, because I had a blast. Thank you so much again. I appreciate it.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Channel Champions podcast. You can find this and all our episodes on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or your favorite streaming platforms. If you have any suggestions for future episodes, guests, or topics, please reach out to us. We appreciate you coming along with us on this journey and hope you'll be back for the next episode. Until then, stay tuned, stay connected, and stay inspired.